Well, Gavin, we heard from Dave Edwards after that excellent result in midweek against Notts County. How did you see that victory over the Magpies?
Really pleased. I think it was a really professional performance, a game plan that we set out for that I think the lads really implemented well. You know, again, it's real credit to the players that we've had a real buy-in from them. There's a lot of detail that goes into being so organised, and there's a lot of patience that goes into it as well. You know, and I think, you know, we're really appreciative for the crowd the other night. Because again, you know, when the opposition sometimes have the ball, it's not only the players that can sometimes become impatient and break out and come away from their discipline, but sometimes the supporters as well might not understand what we're doing on the training field and abandon it. But I think everyone was very appreciative of the level of hard work and desire from the players, the level of focus and concentration it takes to obviously, you know, try and combat a really good Notts County team. So yeah, really pleased with the players. Really pleased with the level of support and the backing from everyone. So I think it was a collective effort again, which is again, you know, keep running with that theme of connectivity right the way through the club. I think, you know, just some trust. You know, the supporters can see us without the ball for a while. What they want to see is, you know, really exciting, free-flowing football. I understand that. We want to win football matches, and sometimes there's game strategies that I have to put together to implement, myself and my staff. So it was really pleasing just to see everybody back it and trust it. You know, trust's a big word, and it felt like a really good place to be. And I think everybody was really grateful to the players for putting in such a magnificent effort.
I know there's absolutely no danger of you getting carried away, Gavin, but it's the first time in 3 years that Shrewsbury Town have won 3 successive Football League games. With that in mind, how encouraged are you with that sort of statistic?
Yeah, I think, you know, from a fan's perspective, it's brilliant to hear, isn't it? It gives us something to buy into and to back, and, you know, real positivity moving forward. I think from a professional perspective now, I've moved on. By the time I'd sort of got back home, away from the chaos, into that peace that you have behind closed doors, it was good to reflect. But, you know, everything's been now about Accrington and preparing for them, because, again, it's another team in form, real high energy, you know, high-paced team that we're going to have to combat. It's going to be a big effort. We need to try and correct this away form. They're on a good run. So, yeah, it's, you know, we need to move on now and not get complacent. Like you say, we need to be really forward-thinking, really positive, do our due diligence, be professional. Make sure that every game now for the next 14 games we approach it as we've done every game. And listen, you know, you live and die by your players, so they're the ones that deserve the credit. You know, myself and my staff put together game strategies and plans on how we're going to go about it. We've had real buy-in from the players. I think a lot of credit needs to go on their name now. And listen, that's the sort of bar that's been set. So, you know, the message to the players is, you know, how much do we want to go and get even more points? Nothing's done. Yes, it's been a reasonable start, but we really need to kick on and apply ourselves like we've done the last 5 games in every game moving forward.
It is back-to-back away games now, Salford on Tuesday, but first of all Accrington this weekend. When you look at the away record, are you puzzled in some ways? You've had some good performances at home now. You've only had 1 away game since you've come into the football club, but only 6 points on away from home this season in League 2, which is a poor return. There's no getting away from that. What can be done to rectify that moving forward?
I'm big on controlling the controllables. You know, I think the performance away at Colchester actually was a really good one. I think we were just unfortunate to be on the wrong side of some big moments, and maybe a little lack of concentration and focus at times. But, you know, really pleased with the evolution of the team, and since then, obviously, we've had 3 wins. I control the controllables. Ultimately, we can't control that anymore. For me, it comes down to a mentality. I think, you know, we talk about an elite warrior mentality in the changing room, and we talk about how, you know, you need to, that first thought of doubt sometimes creeps in, and it's always that second thought. So, look, for me, it's a mentality now. It's we need to be present, stop focusing on the past, forget about the future. It's about Accrington. It's an isolated game where there's 3 points at stake. So when you compartmentalise it, you know, it actually narrows down and takes all the narratives out. It's us and them at their ground, and it's 3 points for us or 3 points for them. You know, we don't want to go anywhere in between. We want to take 3 points. If we can take a point from the game, we'll be, you know, really satisfied. But because they're on a good run, but yeah, we try and just narrow down all of the the uncontrollables, and we just try and narrow it down to what it is that we can affect. So that's the big thing for the players. So God willing, we go and get the win.
You're in good form, so are Accrington Stanley, as you touched on a little bit earlier. Sean Wardy, well known in these parts, having a fantastic season again for Accrington. How difficult a challenge will they represent tomorrow, especially away from home? Yeah,
it's Sean's obviously been a talent for years, and he's an incredible pro, unbelievable guy. It's going to be one where, again, it's a conundrum that we've got to try and solve. He's a top player. They've got some very, very good players. I love their ethos of taking players out of non-league. They've been really wily about taking some players into the league and really developing them and trusting them as well, which takes a lot of courage. So listen, we've focused on them. We've done our due diligence, of course, but ultimately it'll be about what we do. It'll be us being strong and resolute, being really aggressive on the front foot, and making sure we're the best version of ourselves. And obviously I'm a big fan of Sean's, like everybody else, especially what he contributed to this football club. But he's an excellent pro, and behind closed doors he's a great guy as well. And I do wish him all the best. I do watch out for his results, and we message each other from time to time. But tomorrow I just hope he has an off day.
You lost Anthony Scully to injury in midweek in the first half. What was the problem with Anthony, and how is he? Is he okay for this weekend?
Bit of a hamstring problem, so we're still assessing it. So we're just trying to give it every possible chance. So we'll know a little bit more tomorrow morning. But he's just a little bit of a hamstring problem, but nothing too much of a problem.
Sam Clucas, is he getting closer to being back in the frame?
Sam, yes, again, ramped up his training this week. Someone of that experience and talent, we want in and around the group as soon as possible. So he's getting very close. Again, another big training session for him today to hopefully be in contention for tomorrow.
And John Marquis, is it any clearer how long he might be out for?
Yeah, we're looking at a number of weeks. So he's just done his part of his knee there. So I'm not exactly sure the correct term. I think it might be his medial. I could stand corrected on that one, but it could be his medial. But I think we're looking at about another 4 weeks. Although John, obviously the pro and the warrior that he is, he'll be saying it's 4 days.
And how's Bradley Heovia? Is he getting closer? He's had such a difficult time with injuries, been out now for quite a while. Is he getting closer? Is he making good progress? Yeah,
well, he's on the grass, and I think he's pain free for the first time in quite a while. So it's managing him mentally as well, making sure that as being a young lad around the place and not being involved with the team training, he clearly loves football. He loves football, so when he's seeing everybody training and he's watching the analysis and he's seeing a new regime come in and all the positivity, I think he's just chomping at the bit to be a part of it. So he's a real talent from the footage that I've looked back at, and obviously we want everybody fit and healthy, ready to really make sure these next 14 games go our way, and he's a part of that. So we're excited. I think there's a number of weeks yet still to come for him, but we're chomping at the bit for him to get back, and I know he's chomping at the bit to be back. It's good to see his smiley face around the place, but he's a positive character, and we just want to make sure that we can get him fit and healthy before he starts joining in with the first team again.
Everybody else okay for Accrington? No other concerns?
No other concerns. Obviously, there's been a lot of games in short succession, so we've really had to manage the group this week and today. That'll be the big focus, making sure energy levels. The team will be selected based on, energy levels and making sure everybody's fit and healthy. Because again, like I say, a lot of energy's gone into the last week or so, so we've really got to manage that. But by tomorrow's games, the kick-off, they'll all be raring to go.
We've obviously seen Harry Burgoyne at the football club in the last week or so, helping out with the goalkeepers. How nice is that to have Harry involved, and how closer are you to appointing a new full-time goalkeeping coach? Yeah,
H has been great. He's coming in to help us. I know him sort of away from football, so it's been great just for him to someone who knows the club inside out, and he's a fan himself. So he's been doing a little bit for Wolves and obviously plays for Alfreton. So look, he's helping us out at the moment. It's developing. Like I say, we have to go through due process to bring the right person in, but H has been in this week, real positive character. It's great that he lost the crossbar challenge yesterday, so we had to get all the staff the coffee, so that was a real pleasure, worth getting him in. But no, he's been great around the place, and again, he's a great addition, so we want to keep him around for as long as possible, but just with processes in place at the minute, we'll wait and see.
Talking of goalkeepers, must ask you about Matthew Cox. You've got two very good goalkeepers in the first team squad with Harry as well. Will, sorry. What are you thinking moving forward with Matt Cox and his impact since coming in on loan from Brentford?
Yeah, I think, mate, you're right. I think we've got two number one goalkeepers. Will Brook, arguably one of our better players at the beginning of the season from footage that I've seen, and obviously gone back and listening to some of the staff. So I think he's been a bit unfortunate to come out, but like I say, Coxie comes in. I think he's been really assured. I think he's a dominant character in terms of being on the football pitch, off the pitch. Reserved, meek, quiet, but lovely lad. And I love that. I love that, seeing lads who can be a certain way off the pitch and then really change their characters. And he's got a real charisma about him on the football pitch, I feel. And he's really reassuring. And I think for the defenders especially, that really helps. We've asked him to be a little bit more on the front foot when we've asked him to come and deal with crosses, and I think he's taken all that on board. He's developed that. And I think the last couple of games he's been particularly excellent at it as well. So yeah, look, his big thing for me is his kicking as well has been spot on. So as a goalkeeper, he's just been fantastic. But as a lad around the place as well, he's a real pleasure.
Just finally, you're up to 32 points now with 14 games to go. Have you got a target that you think Shrewsbury Town have to get to? Nothing's guaranteed, but to give you the best possible chance of still being a Football League club come the end of the season?
I'd love to give you all the cliches. I'd love to give you, maybe a bit more information on that. But we've got to play Accrington tomorrow. The big thing for me is every game has got to be the focus. If we look past that, I think that's the foolish thing. So we try and stay really in the present, learn from the past. Be optimistic about the future, but we have to be really in the present. We've got a lot of detail to go through this morning, so. I get it, everybody wants to hear, there's got to be a points tally we've got to get to, and I know that makes it a little bit more exciting for the supporters, but the authentic and honest answer is that we're really focused on Accrington. So I want to put all my energy into that, maybe have a rest after the game, cuddle in 3 points, and then Sunday go again.
As always, thanks for your time, Gavin.
Thanks, Stu.